Welcome back. Now here we are going to learn typecasting. As the name suggests, typecasting is simply an interconversion of data type. That is, one data type is converted into another data type. Whatever data type we have learned so far, such as integer, string, float, double, boolean, all these data types can be interconverted. Means integer can be converted into float, float can be converted into integer. So this is what known as typecasting, right? Now typecasting is basically of two types. One is implicit typecasting and another one is explicit typecasting. Implicit means something that is done of its own, right? We need not to take care of it. Here the data type will be converted of its own. Python internally changes the data type whenever it is required, right? So this is what known as implicit typecasting. Now the question is when this implicit typecasting takes place. To understand it in a better way, let us check out with an example. Suppose we are having a variable named x with a value initialized to 10 and a variable named y with a value initialized to 20, right? Now both these values are 10 and 20 of integer type. It is a non-decimal number. Suppose we are accepting the product of x and y in the variable name answer, right? A and S. Now, when you will be printing this answer, what result you will get? It is very simple. 10 into 20, that is 200, right? Good. Now, the same example with the same values, I'm going to write it down with a minute change. Now here the value of x is not 10, it is 10.0 and the value of y is 20. Value of y is same, only the value of x is changed to 10.0, right? So now when you will be calculating the product of these two numbers x and y, that is 10 into 20, now what result you will be getting? Of course it will be 200, but a slight change will be there. Now you will get 200.0, right? Now why it is so? It is so because in this expression x into y, one value was 10.0, that is of float type, and another value was of integer type. Now what Python will do? Internally Python will change all the operands type into the same one, right? So here y will be changed to float. Y will be changed to float means instead of 20 it will be 20.0, and now the expression will be evaluated, that is 10.0 into 20.0, and now we get the answer 200.0, right? So here implicit typecasting takes place, that is the value of y which was 20 is now changed to 20.0. This is what known as implicit typecasting. Now there may be a question in your mind that why the value of y was changed to 20.0, why not x was converted to 10, right? This question might arise in your mind. Of course it is a good question. The reason behind this is x was of float and y was of integer. Float is having a higher memory allocation than integer. So float value cannot be changed implicitly to integer type because it may happen that we face a data loss, right? Suppose the value is 10.25 and if this value is implicitly converted, then the value will be 10, right? 10.25 value will be converted to integer, then the decimal part will be truncated and what we will get result, that is 10. So here is a loss of data, 0.25 is lost, right? That's why implicitly it will not be done. If the programmer wishes to convert this value, then he has to do by of its own, and that is known as explicit typecasting. So here comes explicit typecasting. Explicit typecasting is simply a forceful conversion of one data type into another. As per the requirement of the programmer by himself changes one data type into another. And this is what known as explicit typecasting. And to implement explicit typecasting, few of the functions are used, such as int, float, complex, str, bool. These are the functions that are used to change one data type into another. If we make use of int function, then this will be changing the values, whatever the values are given inside the brackets will be changed into the integer type. For example, suppose if I have taken a string and initialized it by the value 10. See, I have written 10 in single quotes. Means, of course, 10 is an integer value, but I have stored this in str variable in string format, right? Now, if I want to do some mathematical operation on this variable str, of course, it is not possible because str is a variable right now storing not integer string value, right? So here arithmetic operation will not be possible. In case still if a programmer wants to do some arithmetic operation with this str, then what he has to do, he will have to convert this str into integer type, right? Somewhat like this, int, and within bracket he will be writing str, and suppose if I write +1, now it will give you the result 11, right? So this was the example of explicit typecasting. Let us understand both implicit typecasting and explicit typecasting practically. Suppose we have taken the variable x and initialized it with the value 10, right? So x is holding a integer type of value, that is 10. Now here y is holding again an integer type of value, that is 20. Now if we do simple multiplication of x into y, what we get as a result? Of course it will be 200. See, 200 is printed. Now if I just simply change the value of x to 10.0, and of course y remains the same, again I will write it for you, y is 20. Now if I just simply take the product of these two numbers, x into y, now what will happen? See, here the result is 200.0. Okay, so what happened here? The value of y, which was integer, it was converted into float first, and then the value of y was multiplied by the value of x, and we get the result 200.0. This was implicit typecasting, where all the operands in an expression are converted to a common data type so that we get the final result appropriately, right? This conversion is known as implicit typecasting. Remember, higher order memory to lower order memory. Here, implicit typecasting will not take place. Lower memory order to higher memory order, of course, here implicit typecasting can take place. Means conversion of float to integer is not possible implicitly. Conversion of integer to float, of course, it is possible implicitly, right? So this was all about implicit typecasting. Now let us check the example of explicit typecasting. Suppose if I have taken the variable name str and I have simply initialized it by the value 10, and it is not 10, it is a string 10. It is not numeric 10, it is a string 10 because I have enclosed here 10 in the single quotes, right? So here the value of str is 10. Now if I try to simple do some arithmetic operation, str plus 20, see here an error is generated. Why? Because str is having string value and 20 is an integer value, and a string and integer cannot be added. So an error was generated. Now to just to do some arithmetic operation on this str, what I will have to do? I will have to convert this str into integer, or float also you can do, but right now I'm just taking an example of integer. So integer str, it will convert the value of str, that is holding 10, into integer, and now if I add 20 to it, this case will give you the result 30. Why? Because str will be converted now to integer type, so 10 will be returned with the function int, and 10 plus 20 goes to 30. Look here. So this was the practical exposure of your typecasting. So this was the end of this video. In the next video, we'll be discussing about variable declaration. Till then, take care. Bye bye.